Hey there, Jeremy Weiss here with Weiss Tech Hockey, and if you subscribe to our email list, you've probably already seen the news, but we have recently started up a podcast. Now, the reason why is, obviously we've been doing this, our blog, our website for a number of years, and over the years, the material has kind of evolved. And so as we post more about, certain topics, we get different questions about those topics. And recently, the questions have started getting quite a bit more sophisticated than you can really answer in a quick blog post or on the Twitter feed or whatever else. So I decided that it might be neat to have just a more advanced platform, I guess you could call it, where we could get into a little bit more of the deeper, the deeper questions and really get some good answers, some good discussion going. So I thought that podcasting might be a really good platform for that. And we started up the podcast. It's been a couple weeks now, but it's going well. And over those last couple weeks, as it's as our readers have started to find it, there have been a few questions coming in, which is great. But the questions are, some of the questions are, have to do with how to use podcasting. Some of them have to do with whether if it's available on only on iTunes, or if you can get it on Android devices as well. And so I figured it might be neat to just do a quick video, show you guys how to actually use the podcasts. And if you're not already familiar with if you are already familiar with podcasting, then great. Just subscribe to our podcast. It's the Weiss Tech Hockey Cast, and go from there and use it however you already are using your podcasts. But for those of you who are maybe a little bit unfamiliar, then I decided, it might be good to just do a quick video. So what I've got here, you can kind of see on my screen, I've got my my iPod and my iPad both pulling in. And I want to show you the different ways that you can use the podcast. Probably the easiest way, if you're an Apple user, is just to go straight through iTunes. Now, it's really easy to go through iTunes. All you do, let's start with the iPhone. iPhone seems to be, for me at least, it's the most reasonable way of consuming podcasts. I have it with me all the time. A lot of times I'm driving by myself and I listen to podcasts in the car. So if you're on iTunes, one of the easiest ways of doing this would probably be just to use the podcast app. All you'll do is open it up, and the first time you open it, there's not going to be anything in there, obviously. So then you'll hit Store, and you'll go in, just search. You can search Weiss Tech Hockey or Weiss Tech Hockey Cast or whatever. Find the podcast. Looks like this. Then all you do is just tap it, hit the subscribe button, and now you're off to the races. So all you'll do is just open up that show. You can see there's different episodes in there, and that's you can use that. Now, if you're going to be using it on your phone, there's actually a better app that I prefer. And I'll go back out and I'll show you. It's this Pocket Casts right here. Now, Pocket Casts is available for it's for iOS and Android. So the app exists for both platforms. And I actually prefer it to the iTunes or to the podcast app. And the reason why is because a lot of times during the show, we'll be talking about certain topics, or talking about a different website or something like that. And usually after the show is recorded, I go back into the show notes and I put links in the show notes. So and then I usually reference that in the show. So I'll be like, you can check the show notes for whatever it is we're talking about. So what you'll do here, it functions kind of the same way, but you'll open up your Pocket Casts, hit the search button. This may look a little bit different if you're using it on Android, but it's cross-platform, so it's going to be essentially the same. You'll search for new podcasts. Let's just go with Weiss Tech. And you can see it pops up right there, Weiss Tech Hockey Cast. Apparently there's a few other Weiss endeavors out there, but we'll click on this one. Okay, so that shows that's the podcast. All you'll do now is click Add, and it adds it to my list of shows that I subscribe to. Now here's where the Pocket Casts app gets a lot cooler. Let's open up a show. Now you can either download it or stream it straight from your app, but let's just go like this. We'll open up this. Let's just hit stream. Okay, and I'm not going to actually play this. Okay, but now, so you can adjust the speed at which it plays back. So if you see this 1.0, you can go and you can make it play back faster. So if you feel like I'm taking too long or whatever, you can speed me up there. Also, what else is really cool here is, let's see here, just make sure I've got it right. Nope. Okay, so yeah, so we swipe. So if we swipe to the right, okay, so we swipe there. So if we swipe to the right, you get the show notes. So in this episode, we talked about, it's kind of a show summary, and then there are a few links. So, for example, if I wanted to link or go check out the Hockey Share website that I linked to, boom, all I do is click it, and it pulls it up for me. Okay, I won't go back into that though. We'll go right back into Pocket Cast. Okay, now if I swipe to the other side, it pulls up the chapters. Now we're using the higher end podcast episodes here, where we've actually segmented it out into chapters. So if something, if you want to jump straight to a chapter, that's fine. And you can just click whichever chapter, it automatically jumps to it. Okay, so Pocket Casts, if you're using it on your phone, that's iOS or Android, works on both of them. That's the one I recommend. Now let's jump over to the iPad. iPad, unfortunately, Pocket Cast doesn't exist on the iPad. So if you're gonna be using it on your iPad, then you're probably pretty much just locked into the standard app. If there's a better one out there and you already know about it, feel free to use that. In terms of Android tablets, I have no idea. So you can look into that, research it, but at the end of the day, the concept's pretty much the same. The podcast's out there. You're not locked into iTunes to use it. Although if you are using it in iTunes, I would really appreciate if you went in, give me a 5-star rating, give me a good review in there. It'll really help us to kind of get our get our rankings up. But you don't have to be on iTunes to make this happen. So all you'll do is you'll go store. Same process as before. Search the store. Weiss Tech usually pulls it up close enough, so you can see it gives me my results right there. Weiss Tech Hockey Cast, and now you've got it. So just tap, hit subscribe, and now you're locked in. So now every time there's a new episode, you'll be notified. You'll be able to to listen to it and follow up with a lot of kind of this. I guess I've been kind of referring to it as higher level learning. That's we're going to be covering on the podcast. It's going to be a lot of fun as we go through the process. If you ever have any questions or maybe topics that you would like to see discussed on the podcast, feel free to shoot me an email at info@weisstechhockey.com. And I'm always open to suggestions, always open to feedback. I love it, and I appreciate you guys. So again, that's how you use podcasting. That's how you will be able to subscribe to our podcast, and hopefully you'll be able to get some some more useful information from it.